So a report by Dianna Russini says that a GM at the Senior Bowl mentioned to her that the reason for Mike Vrabel not getting offers or head coaching job or coaching jobs is Vrabel's physical build. And the difference is, says here, the physical presence can make a difference, is what that source said. So the physical presence can make a difference in the room. So, JT, why isn't Mike Vrabel being hired?
Man, first of all, can we just address that comment? That shit made no sense. I'm not trying to be funny. If one guy said that, Mike Vrabel might have slept with his wife or something. That seemed personal. Like, oh, he's just too intimidated to be around. Like, bro, we in the league where Dan Campbell coaches. He is bigger than Mike Vrabel. They had, remember, what's his name? Mike Tice. He was like 7 feet. Like, it's the NFL. Everybody is imposing. So he's too imposing to be a coach, but we got these guys that are his size at every position or bigger.
And Dan Campbell's talking about biting ankles.
That's what I'm saying. Dan Campbell's out there doing serial killer shit and sound bits, but Mike Vrabel is too intimidating. To me, what it sounds like is maybe he's just not a likable guy. Like, I think maybe he's an asshole, which just by looking at Vrabel, I would not be shocked. Like, he's a little off in things. Like, we remember that the draft where he had like the guy like doing something in his bathroom. Like, he's a different guy. I mean, he's a linebacker. They got to be different. It just sounds like maybe, GMs and owners are like, either I can't work with him, he might be difficult to work with, or maybe I know I can't say out of pocket things to him because we're going to have an uncomfortable work relationship. Like, I can't tell Mike Vrabel, to F off. Like, he's 6'6", 250. Like, it's going to be hard to tell a person that. So, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. But one guy, that sounds personal. Like, he might have did something to this guy, and that's why he's saying that. But I don't understand why he doesn't have a head coaching job, because I thought he was clearly one of the top 3 candidates on the market. Like, I think he instantly makes your team better. They're at least going to be prepared.
Yeah, I don't buy that physical part of it. It's football. A lot of guys are big, and a lot of guys have coached that are big. You mentioned just some recent ones. I mean, John Madden, right? Like, you can go down the line.
You don't realize how huge John Madden is.
Yeah, different offensive linemen have been head coaches. Different offensive line coaches have been head coaches. Yeah, Art Shell. And so I'm not buying that part. Plus, wouldn't you want that sort of presence in your locker room if he's that like demanding of your attention, right?
Exactly.
That's the guy you want leading your team.
Like, who are the players going to relate to more? Like, you show up in the locker room, like, you might have the data and the analytics and stuff, but at the end of the day,
in the glasses.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like you or this behemoth that used to play in the league. Like,
right.
If he could coach like the physical presence, I think that's a benefit.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think what it is that the rounds, or kind of the lack of a better word, the quota of defensive coordinators was fulfilled in this round of hirings. You had Mike McDonald, Dan Quinn, Raheem Morris, and I'm trying to think if I missed another defensive coordinator.
We can count Pierce getting rehired. He's a defensive guy.
So you're talking 4 of the 8 minimum were defensive guys. I mean, the trend is toward offense, and it's like
the offensive guys just said we're sitting out this hiring cycle.
Well, not only that, but maybe people felt, hey, the best defensive-minded guys have been, hired in Raheem Morris, McDonald, Pierce, and Dan Quinn. So maybe teams felt, hey, if we're going to go defensive coordinator, we're going to go with one of those 4 instead of Mike Vrabel.
I will say this. Walk with me down this path, because I said this when we talked about him getting fired. They had a mutual parting with the Titans. And I was like, maybe even though Mike Vrabel is a good coach, maybe the way he coaches and runs the game, like his scheme, maybe is a little bit outdated, where it's like, there's a ceiling with that, and we got to see what we can get with a more offensive-minded coach. Maybe we might have a higher ceiling. And maybe that's what it is, too. Maybe they're like, you know what? Like, his style of coaching and the way he game plans is a little bit outdated. It's not where the NFL is and trending that way. So That could be a part of it too, because I'm sorry, like we saw running Derrick Henry 500 times in the season. Like you can only do that for so long. Like you got to scheme up something else.
Right. Well, JT, to that point, the last thing I have written here, his last 2 years, 7-10, 6-11, and that comes with the decline of Derrick Henry. So it's like, how successful do organizations think he can be without a guy like a Derrick Henry, based on what you just said, his style of football?
Or is he only as good as the coordinators? Because he had Arthur Smith, who was a good coordinator when he was there, and he also had LaFleur, right?
LaFleur, yeah.
So I mean, we talk about LaFleur like he's earned his status as a really good coach in the league. So how good are you without these offensive guys calling the shots? Because when they weren't there, we saw what this team looked like, and it was not good. So that could be it too. Maybe they just don't think he is a good coach because his philosophy and the scheme just is not a good scheme.
Maybe.